Tell me if this sounds familiar. You used to love drawing, doing it super often and having so much fun doing it. And then life happened. Maybe you got busy or lost motivation, and in doing so, now art is no longer the fun activity that you used to enjoy so much. Today, I wanted to talk about how I finally started to not only enjoy art, but actually love it so much that I got addicted. Not only that, but I finally learned how to actually get good. And here are my credentials. So, let's get started. If I had to start over from scratch. First things first is the decision of a goal. Formulating a path forward is easier when you have a concrete goal to work towards. In my case, I want to continue drawing pretty characters in nice and stylized poses and interesting compositions, while also working on my overall technical skills. Then, the next step is I would start collecting art. By this, I mean follow artists on my social medias to fill my timelines with things that inspire me and motivates me to create. I recommend that you follow artists that create similar art to what you aspire to make. I have this whole Pureware file filled to the brim with artists and artworks I've come across that I like, and I deeply recommend that you do the same. I also often look to this collection whenever I'm stuck on ideas or poses, and it's a great way for me to get quickly inspired again. Surround yourself with the art you love, not only online but offline as well. Go to cons, support your favorite artist, buy art prints, put them up over your desk, somewhere where you see them all the time. Collect the artworks that inspires you and the styles you enjoy, because honestly, this will be your base to developing your own art style. To which I do have a video coming up, so stay tuned for that one. Some of my favorite artists are Diariku, Alice Vu, Praline, and Rosary. I always get so inspired looking at their artworks, and I want to keep improving so that one day, maybe, I will be on the same level. By having these amazing artists often pop up in my feeds, it keeps me inspired and motivated to continue learning. Next up is actually doing the improvement and studying. Now, I have ADHD, and studying and we weren't really friends back in school, but I've found ways to get around that now. Mostly because art is just something that I wholly enjoy, which helps a lot with motivation. But my number one biggest tip is when it comes to studying art is study what you like. This way, you'll be more motivated to actually sit down and do it. Especially in the beginning, building the habit is more important than the learning, in my opinion. This also applies to drawing in general. If you keep drawing landscapes to practice perspective when in reality you want to use it in character drawings, you'll just burn out quicker. Keep passion and momentum going by drawing and studying the things that you like and are interested in. This does make it less of a chore and is way more likely to actually get done. Example, if you enjoy drawing portraits, study the head, then the facial features, so on and so forth. If you're unsure on what you actually enjoy, because you haven't done too much yet to find out, you could either do sampling projects, which is small, not long committed projects just to test out if you like something, or you could try looking at the art you enjoy and go from there. Does the artists you enjoy often draw complex perspectives or maybe really dynamic poses? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you see these artworks? Is it, oh, I wish I could draw fluid poses like that? Or maybe it's, I really want to render like this. Use those to find your next study topic. If you're less of a mood artist and more logical, you might want to consider what is your current bottleneck. A bottleneck is the thing that's currently holding us back the most. For example, a couple months back, I kept feeling like the thing that held me back the most was the head of my characters. I felt like I couldn't draw the elegant curves I wanted, nor could I draw the angles comfortably either. So I sat down and studied the hell out of it. And while I can't say I'm entirely happy with it, they have definitely improved to the point where I don't feel held back anymore. I hope this section gave you some insight into what I did to start enjoying learning art, and maybe gave you some ideas on what to do next. Dealing with mentality around art. Okay, so we've talked about the ways of making learning art fun, but what if art in general just sucks? Are you struggling with art block? Or maybe you just feel like there's no point in drawing if it can't be perfect. First off, let me tell you, you are not alone. I think pretty much every artist has struggled with these exact things at least once in their life. And there are things we can do to help. If you find that your own mindset is the reason you're not creating as much, then it's time to take a step back to fully figure out what and why is holding you back. For most of us, it's almost always grounded in some sort of perfectionism. Let's get some things out of the way. Nothing will ever truly be perfect. That is impossible. It's okay to not be amazing at art, and it's okay not to rack in thousands of likes on every art piece. It's okay to create slowly and over a long time. It's okay to create very little or a lot. Every artist is valid in their own right. I actually used to struggle so much with my mentality around art, and honestly, I still do. The only difference is how I handle these bouts of perfectionism. It's way easier said than done, but treating yourself with a little bit of kindness goes a long way when it comes to this. Now, how do we actually work against this? While it may not be the same for everyone, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do when I feel those stupid mind goblins starting to pop back up again. When I start feeling insecure about my art or my skills, the first thing I do is remind myself what's important to me. I draw because I enjoy it, and learning more is fun. Seeing my skills grow over time is something that I've come to enjoy a lot, and with that, I've learned that plateauing is completely normal and happens to everyone. We tend to experience the learning curve no matter what skill we're practicing. We increase suddenly and we think, whoa, we're actually starting to figure this out. And then we'll plateau or even sink back a bit because it's normal, that happens. And the most important thing there is to not lose confidence. Easier said than done, I know. Now, I will say that dealing with perfectionism is definitely easier when my mental health is better. And in so, therapy has actually helped me a lot when it comes to this. So as long as we keep practicing kindness to ourselves, it gets easier over time. Now, if we want to be a little more practical about working on our art mindset, there are a few things we can do. Me personally, I like to go back to studies and essentially fuel my energy into learning with spite. I tell those evil mind goblins that I can and will get better no matter how much they tell me I can't. I am nothing if not a spiteful being. I do know that this might not work for everyone, so there are other ways we can work on it. I also just like to return to my comfort zone and draw the things I know I enjoy, or simply try something really new, all while keeping my expectations low. Constantly reminding myself that this is just for the enjoyment of art and not to improve or test my skills. This can look like redrawing an old art piece, coloring books, drawing our comfort characters, or simply taking a break from art entirely. Pushing on when the will isn't really there will just make it harder to enjoy what you're doing again. Taking a break can sometimes give us time to breathe and come back with a fresh perspective on things. Just keep being patient and please remember that your own well-being should always come first. What to study based on what you like. Now, my favorite answers to what do I study next is to study what you like, as I mentioned previously. But what if you can't come up with something to study? I've put together a small list of categories and subjects related to them, all for your browsing pleasure. Now, keep in mind, a lot of things in art overlap, so these lists are not definite, but I hope they will act as a small starting point for at least some of you. Here are the lists. If you like drawing portraits, you could study head anatomy, facial features, or facial expressions. If you enjoy doing character design, you could look into shape language, color harmony, or gesture drawings. Like drawing landscapes? Try studying perspective, color theory, visual storytelling. Want to do illustrations? Check out composition, expressive poses, or lighting. As always, all topics can be further dissected into even the smallest things to study and broken down into smaller goals to make it easier to achieve. You can also think about studying things that you think will benefit you on what you're already doing. Let's say you already draw a bunch of illustrations. You could look into these anyways because you know that it will further your knowledge into it. I hope this gave you some inspiration and maybe even some motivation to go sit down and do your next study. General recommendations and resources. Lastly, for today, I am a firm believer of hot artists don't gatekeep. So here are some of my favorite resources. Speedrun edition! And of course, all channels and websites are linked down below. I hope this video may have given you some hope about art again, because I truly think art is the greatest thing to have ever happened to me, and it's something that I want to keep sharing with you all. Thank you for watching till the end, and remember to stay kind to yourselves and take care of yourself, because that's very important. And as always, stay safe out there, my dear soldier lottles.